Imagine there is only one grocery store in your town. That grocery store would be able to control its prices because it has no competition. Maybe you think having one store to shop at makes things easier because you always know what the prices will be. Or maybe you think the prices are too high and would love to have some different stores to check out. Either way, you shop there because the store has a monopoly on groceries in your town. You see, a monopoly occurs when there is only one business that provides a good or service within an industry or region. It controls prices because there is no competition offering similar goods and services at a lower price that could attract customers. In today's lesson, we'll investigate monopolies so you can form your own opinion about their impact on the economy. The lesson essential question is, to what degree should the government allow monopolies to form in the economy? And to help you take a position on the issue, we'll have some guiding questions. How are monopolies formed? What are the benefits and drawbacks of a monopoly? So today, you're more than a historian. You are also an economist. Let's go. In this section, we will define the types of monopolies to understand how they form. Monopolies are formed in two basic ways. The first way a monopoly can form is called horizontal integration. Horizontal integration occurs when a company buys up its competitors within an industry in order to control the price they charge for the goods or services. Let's imagine that there are two grocery stores in your town competing for your business by lowering the price of apples. The store on the left gets your business because its apples are cheaper. But then the store on the right buys the other store. Now the price of apples is the same because there is no competition. This would be an example of horizontal integration because now both grocery stores are owned by the same company. Historically, horizontal integration occurred when a trust was formed. A trust forms when competing companies come under one manager that runs them like a single company, removing competition. Imagine those two grocery stores kept their original names so they appeared to be different stores to you and your family. But actually, both are being managed by the same person. This would be considered a trust. Second, monopolies can form out of vertical integration. Vertical integration is where one company owns each part of a supply chain, which refers to all the different businesses and activities that go into making a product. Let's look at an example. Imagine that one grocery store in your town decides to further control the market by vertically integrating. They would buy the farms that grow the food and factories that process the food. Then they would buy companies that carry the food from the farms and plants to the grocery store. Like a vertical line, they now control all aspects of the industry and can control both costs and prices at every stage of production and sale. Before we look at how monopolies impact the economy, let's answer the first guiding question. How are monopolies formed? In this section, we're going to look at how monopolies impact the economy. Just like anything in life, there are benefits and drawbacks to a monopoly, and not everyone agrees on whether or not monopolies are good for the economy. Let's look at why some people think monopolies are beneficial to the economy. First, monopolies keep prices and profits stable by removing competition. Therefore, monopolies, by keeping prices and profits high, prevent economic crashes. According to supporters, when businesses compete, they lower prices to gain customers. This lowers profits, which can cause some businesses to close. If too many businesses close, it can lead to economic crashes. For example, having one grocery store in your town means the price of apples will remain stable, and thus the store's profits remain stable, ensuring the store remains open. On the other hand, if the grocery store faces competition, they may lower prices to the point where they are no longer making a profit and have to close down. Secondly, supporters claim that monopolies increase investments in new technologies and their workers because they do not have to worry about competition forcing prices down. Technology and training for workers is typically an expensive investment that reduces profit in the short run, but can increase productivity and thus profits in the long run. If a company feels secure in their prices and thus profits, it will be more willing to invest in technology. And finally, supporters argue that safe investments in technology and workers means a company can produce larger quantities of goods for a lower cost. This means we will inevitably get cheaper apples from that grocery store because they have gotten so good at producing them. But opponents of monopolies claim that in most industries, it doesn't work that way. First, opponents argue that price control means higher prices for consumers. The monopoly can charge whatever it wants because the consumer can't buy the product anywhere else. Remember, our Mia is stuck buying from one store. Secondly, opponents claim that monopolies can intentionally reduce the supply of a product to create extreme prices. Think about it. If you love apples, fall on the floor crying if there are no apples in Grandma's pie, and that one and only grocery store in town suddenly announced there were only a few dozen apples left, how much would you be willing to spend on them? The point is that monopolies have total control over how much of a good is available to a market, allowing for manipulation of price and supply. And finally, opponents claim that monopolies lead to low-quality products because without competition, there is no incentive to make good products. After all, there's only one grocery store in town. So those apples you love so much, well, they're rotten. The workers don't clean them because they don't like their jobs. And the grocery store's motto is, the only stop to shop. Time to answer the final guiding question. What are the benefits and drawbacks of a monopoly? Now, you know that a lot goes into the price and quality of those apples you love so much. Much of it depends on how many stores there are competing for your business. And this is why monopolies are something citizens must stay informed on. In the PDF, you'll look into how the government influences the development of monopolies. And you'll act as president faced with some key decisions to make. Why? Because it's up to you to make history. Hey, hey.